Okay, it's 2:45 in the afternoon on Wednesday, the 13th of September, 2023. And I am just now driving into Bar Harbor. And I will be going through downtown to show you what it looks like, show you the waterfront. Although, I don't know if you can see it in the image here, it is foggy today. So I don't expect the waterfront to be very scenic, because I expect it will be fogged in. One of my viewers the other day commented that the schooner Margaret Todd was not in Bar Harbor to go on a cruise. And that is because it is tied up at the Great Harbor Marina in Southwest Harbor. Now, I don't know if it's there for the winter. That's where it normally winters, having made an early end to the season because of Hurricane Lee, which is supposed to arrive Saturday into Sunday, or if they're planning to put it back into service after Hurricane Lee. We will find out. But as of today, it's in Southwest Harbor, tied up at least for the storm. So here we come into Bar Harbor proper. Noting that the town of Bar Harbor includes pretty much the entire northern half of Mount Desert Island. And so this part of the town, which most people think of as Bar Harbor, is probably 5% of the land area of the actual town, and probably about half the population of Bar Harbor lives here. Now, Bar Harbor has a population of about 5,500, so that means probably about 2,500 people live in what we think of as the village of Bar Harbor. So we're coming in, and it's not too bad. The weather is sort of crummy for the last couple of days, and it's supposed to get a lot worse this weekend. The latest forecast I saw was calling for 2 to 3 inches of rain on Saturday into Sunday, and winds up to 50 miles an hour. So a lot of things won't be happening. Okay, coming up here, I have to head over to the hospital to drop off a sample for the lab. But after I do that, we will check out downtown Bar Harbor. So I'll be turning right here instead of left. Anyway, I'll show you as we drive over that way and see what it looks like. And one of the things I want to do today is loop through a little bit of residential Bar Harbor to show you what it looks like. Now, I don't know if there's a cruise ship in today. I did not check before I came over, and it's probably going to be hard to tell if there is because of fog in the harbor. Anyway, I'm going to make a right turn here. And it looks like I can actually do it now. And we will head down toward the hospital. You can see the fog if we look up toward the hill there. You're getting a little mist on the windshield. And pretty busy here in town. Usually on bad weather days, the town is busier than on clear days. Because people say, well, it'll be nice in a day or two. It's supposed to be nice Friday. So people will spend part of their vacation here in Bar Harbor rather than go into the park on a day where it's rainy and foggy and the visibility is not too great. Because there is one of the hills of Bar Harbor straight ahead, but you can't see most of it because of the fog. Okay, as we head down here, the Grand Hotel in Bar Harbor has a vacancy according to their sign. And that's going to increase, more vacancies, as we get into the fall. Possibly with a few less vacancies when we get into leaf season for fall colors come October. Okay, I'm about ready ready to make my turn to the hospital, so I'm going to stop for now and we'll pick this up when I'm finished there. Okay, I'm leaving the hospital here in Bar Harbor, and we're going to go through just a little bit of residential Bar Harbor before I go downtown. So we're going to turn left here and go down a residential street. Here is a home that's being re-shingled, it looks like. Now this part of Bar Harbor is fairly old. If you get outside the main village here, particularly if you go south or west, you get into an area that was burned by the 1947 fire. And the homes that you'll see are much newer than what you're going to see here. And we're going to come up here and turn right. Across the street is a private compound. I think it goes all the way out to the shore from Main Street. It's a pretty big setup. And so we're going to come along here. You can see the homes here are fairly nice. This is a more expensive part of town. Now, one thing you need to know about Bar Harbor is that a lot of the homes in Bar Harbor are short-term rentals now. You know, a lot of people that own homes here actually move out for the summer and rent their house out because it's more lucrative to do that than anything else. You can easily get a couple $1,000s a week for even a small house here in Bar Harbor. So I know people who have a boat that they move on to for the summer. Okay, we're gonna go down here about another block, and then we will drive through the main residential area. Currently, we're about 5 blocks from downtown. We're headed away from downtown, and we're going to turn here on Ledge Lawn, which is one of the main streets in this part of Bar Harbor, and see what the homes here look like. Okay, this is a relatively wide street. The streets on either side of us, parallel to this, are much narrower. So these are typical Bar Harbor homes. Some of them very nice. But this area, about the rock bottom price you'd pay for a home here if you found an old one that hadn't been upgraded, would be about $500,000. And the homes go up dramatically from that. For example, this brick house here, a couple years ago, that was for sale for over $1 million. Sold very quickly. So this is Ledge Lawn Avenue, and we're coming up to, I believe it's Eden Street, which is the street you come into town on in all of my videos. And pretty much all of the homes or buildings on Eden Street are now inns. For example, that is an old house straight ahead. It is now an inn, the Thorn Hedge Inn. And we're going to come up here and turn right. Just have to wait until there's a gap in traffic and this young lady gets across the road. And we're currently about 2 blocks from Main Street, which is to the right, which is the way we're going to go. And it looks like we got here just in time for a bunch of traffic. I think the light must have changed. Can we go? I think this guy is signaling to turn. Yes, he is. So I will go, and he will. All right. can see everything here is inns or other things now. Here is the public library right here. Very nice library here in Bar Harbor. The Abbey Museum, which is a Native American history museum. And we are now 1 block from Main Street. And on the right, you can see the grass, very green, of the Village Green. Now this is where we came in to town before I went over to the hospital. So we're going to go up here and turn left this time and head down to the waterfront and see what it looks like. Because of the storm that's coming this weekend, a lot of boats may be gone. Certainly, there are usually a number of large yachts tied up on the Bar Harbor waterfront, and I suspect they will have headed south to get away from the storm, which, as of the most recent forecast, is supposed to make landfall about 100 miles northeast of here, pretty much right at the Canadian border with Maine. Okay, here we go. And we'll be up here to make our turn, hopefully. As I've said before, the biggest problem with turning here onto Main Street is not so much the traffic, it's pedestrian traffic, because you have to yield to pedestrians and in the crosswalks. So whenever somebody sets foot in a crosswalk, you can't go. Like right now, that guy probably could have gone, but there's pedestrian traffic which blocks him. So usually pedestrian traffic shows up when there's no automobile traffic, which is when you'd like to be able to go. And when the automobile traffic is there, looks like we can go now. And we will go here. And we are on Main Street. It's crowded, but not packed. I mean, there are, a few places to sit on the benches here. Doesn't look like there's much parking. There might be an available parking spot right here. Yes, there is. Now, the town of Bar Harbor just raised their parking rates by 100%. Don't know why, but it now costs $4 an hour to park down here on Main Street, and in other places a little further from the center of things, the parking rate is $2 an hour. So, yeah, there are quite a few people here. It's not as foggy as I expected it to be. We'll go down here and see what's going on. Well, there's a whale watcher ahead. I suspect they didn't go out, or if they did, they're back already, because it is very foggy on the other side of the island, which is where they go. And we'll be down here and have a look at the waterfront in just a minute. Pretty parked up down here. Yeah, there's only one whale watcher here. That means the other ones are either out, or they have moved to a more sheltered spot for the storm. And over here, you can see there are a lot of floats off of docks that have been moved and anchored out. That pier straight ahead is where the four-masted schooner Margaret Todd usually sails out of. It is gone. As I said earlier, it is now in Southwest Harbor at the marina there, which is where it winters. I don't know if they are done for the season, taking the storm as an indicator of a good time to end the season. It's possible that they'll come back, although their floats have been detached and are now anchored out. You can see none of the big boats that are usually here are around, and out there in the harbor there are various schooners and stuff that are anchored out. And it looks like at least one of the whale watchers is anchored out over there. We are expecting to get north to northeast winds here on Saturday into Sunday. Probably around 35 to 40 knots steady with gusts up to 50. That's the current forecast. So it will get kind of nasty in here, and you want to be anchored in a spot that's sheltered from the north and northeast. Okay, so this is Bar Harbor today, September 13, just before the visitation by Hurricane Lee, an unwanted southern tourist. Okay, now we're going to go down here a little bit and have a look at a couple of other areas. Here's the waterfront. All the waterfront hotels are of course open, and they're probably pretty busy as we head down here. As you can see, there's very, very little parking. Everybody is down here in town today because it's not very pretty on the south side of the island. Visibility was about 200 yards when I went through Southwest Harbor. Okay, here we go. Lots of cars. I don't see that many people walking around. It is currently 70 degrees here in Bar Harbor, but as you can see, it is overcast and there is a bit of fog. It's pretty damp, so not the nicest day here on Mount Desert Island. Okay, we're going to go up and head up a side street back to Cottage so that I can go to the supermarket. There we go. Boy, it's tight in here with all these cars parked on both sides of the road. And pickup truck is pretty good size. Now these homes here, which are very nice homes, are pretty much all either summer homes owned by people from away, or in some cases inns, or possibly bed and breakfasts. But very few of these homes are occupied year-round. And we'll get out of here. It's a very narrow street with when it's parked up on both sides, as you can see. But there, some of these, as I said, are inns, and others are just people's houses. And here's a road that goes up to Cottage Street, and you can see some large lots. And as we move off West Street there, we're going to get smaller homes as we come up here to go to the supermarket. Okay, I'm going to be pulling in there in just a second, so I'm going to stop the video for now. Alright, it's 4:20 and I am just getting ready to pull out of the Hannaford supermarket on my way home. Just have to get out of here. Traffic can be a bit of a problem, but here we go. And we'll go here. I'm going to turn left. We'll go through another area that is a little bit on the residential side, although I think all of the houses, until we get to the other end of this street, with one possible exception, are nightly or weekly rentals, bed and breakfasts, or inns. So this is kind of typical. We're just turning off Cottage Street and heading across. Now here's the Queen Anne's Revenge Inn, and the Elmhurst Inn, more of Queen Anne's Revenge. See, these are just old houses. Now this one doesn't have a sign. It may actually still be a home, although it may be a weekly rental. And here's the Bar Harbor Manor Hotel, Inn and Suites. And another big old house. The backside of the Miramonte Inn, which fronts on the main street here out of town, which we're going to turn right onto. Now there's a really deep manhole here, or manhole cover, that I hate hitting because it always sounds like the truck bottoms out. I don't think it does, but here we go. And we're going to head out of Bar Harbor. Now right up here, just past this light, we go into the area that was burned in the 1947 fire. That hillside ahead, which is all forested now, there used to be a couple big estates up on top of that hill, and they burned, as did all of the trees and everything. So pretty much once we pass this light, everything is new since the 1947 fire. So and at this point I have about a 40-minute drive, maybe a little less, to get home. Depends on traffic. And this is part of the Bar Harbor grade school here. And Bar Harbor just passed a bond issue to build a brand new school, which is going to cost a fortune. The number that sticks in my head is something like $30 million. And that's for a town with 5,000 people and not that many kids, because young people who have children really can't afford to live here. The only way you can afford to live here if you're a young person just starting out is if there is a family home that you can move into. Certainly you can't get a job at one of the local businesses and make enough to buy one of these $750,000 homes, which is probably about what we're looking at right here. Now, as I said, these are all relatively new homes built since 1947. If you want to think of 1947 as new. The rest of Bar Harbor, the part where we were at the beginning of this video, is mostly older homes, probably built around or maybe a little before 1900. Okay, we're headed out of Bar Harbor. I hope you enjoyed seeing it today and a little bit of the residential areas in Bar Harbor. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and think about subscribing to my channel. I'll probably be back here sometime in October, and I will definitely be back here in November. Okay, thanks for watching.